Vale. Buenas tardes. Well, welcome to another seminar. Today we have Alex. He's a new postdoc. I've been started like 1 month ago. Yes, just arrived at Indonesia, and he will work with Angel and physics groups. And today he's going to present his previous or future work on forecasting and modeling tsunamis and marine things. So thank you very much, Alex, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Alexandre, or Alex, que es más fácil para pronunciar. Sorry, I need to speak English. Sorry. So I'm going to present my thesis work on tsunamis, on landslide tsunamis, and after I will present my postdoc in France, in French, on morphodynamic of beaches. So first I will start with tsunamis. But first, who am I? I did an engineering school in France, in water engineering, and after that I did a master of coastal engineering in Santander in Spain. Then I did 1 year of research engineer in France, in Paris, on tsunamis, landslide tsunamis. And after that, I did a PhD on landslide tsunamis too. And after, I started a postdoc in Grenoble, the laboratory there, on beaches morphodynamic. And now we are here. Just 2023. And I started a postdoc with Andrel on extreme storm tide levels. So I'm starting with some definitions. What's a tsunami? What is a tsunami? I think you know tsunami generated by earthquake, by seismic origin. So you have surface elevation of the bottom of the sea generated by a rapid rise of the sea floor. Okay. And the dimensions of the seismic generated tsunamis are large, 100 or more than 100 kilometers, and the impact are near and far field. Okay. And landslide tsunamis, it's really basic. You have a landslide that collapses into the sea, and it creates a wave or two. Okay. And for landslide tsunamis, the period are shorter, like 1-5 minutes, and the impact is more local, or near field impact. To model landslide tsunamis, we use basically Navier-Stokes equations. Okay, and if you use these, model 2-dimension, use Savant equations or Boussinesq equation or Boussinesq model if you want to take into account dispersive effects. And if you use 3D models, you use Navier-Stokes completely or Hans equation. But here, in my thesis, I used a 2D model and a 3D model. And so the 2D model is Savant or Boussinesq. For the landslide, the equations are very similar to Savant, but the equation for the water are this erosion of the water, and for the landslide, the equations are also two system of coordinates different. Here it is an example of landslide tsunamis since 1806. So basically, there is landslide tsunamis everywhere. Then no specific areas where the landslide tsunamis. You only need something to collapse into water. So it can be in the sea or ocean, It can be in lakes or river, I mean. So for example, this one I will talk about later. In Indonesia, we speak about that. You have an example in Switzerland, the lake. You have an example of volcanoes that collapse. There is a famous one in Italy. There is a variant one in 1963. It was a collapse in a dam, and it was a disaster. So before I started my thesis, I studied this case. This is a tsunami that took place in Greenland in 2017. And on the images, you have an example of the damage. So here you see the ocean enter into the village. Yeah, I don't see if you see really well, but this line is the maximal Indonesian line of the tsunamis, and the ocean is here. Yeah, I think it's 200 meters. And the tsunamis was very powerful, and it displaced these houses. So it is an image extracted from a video, and on the video, the house were here, was here, and it is displaced. So it was a collapse. It was a collapse about 50 million cubic meters of sediment. So it's very large. It's 1 kilometer width. And it was 30 kilometers away from the village that was destroyed. And this is an example on a simulation that I did. So you have sorry, this is in French, the small collapse, landslide, and the village UIB-CSIC, where there is the damage. From here to here, there is 30 kilometers. And it generated waves. So this is a simulation because we don't know exactly what happened in reality. But with simulations, I found waves more than 40 or 50 meters high at the source, so at the landslide, and at the village, around 1 and 2 meters. This is another example of a landslide tsunami I studied. It was in 2018 in Indonesia, and the collapse of the Anak Krakatau. So it's Anak Krakatau is the son of Krakatau. So here the picture of the volcano after the collapse, and all this part was land before. And you can, I think it was a few days after, and you can see all the sediments around the volcano. Okay. Here are some images of islands around the volcano. So you have the main volcano Anak Krakatau here, and you have to imagine that there is 3 islands, one here, another here, and the third one here. And from the sea here to the baseline of trees, there is 30 or 40 meters. So the tsunamis in the near field around the volcano destroyed trees until more than 30 or 40 meters of altitude. And here it is an example of damage on Sumatra or Java. Because the volcano here, this is a Sunda Strait. Okay, and I don't remember but there is Java and Sumatra. I think Java is here and Sumatra. And so the volcano is here, and it generated waves that moves that damage all the coasts here and also here. And here you can see the dimension. So the 3 islands are in 5 kilometers, okay, and the coast here is at 40 or 50 kilometers. So the impact is in the near field, but in the far field too. Okay, here you have an example of what I did to reconstruct the volcano, because all I had was the volcano after the volcano before the collapse. And to reproduce the event, I needed to reconstruct my volcano and to imagine what was the state after the collapse. Okay. So what I did is I created a slope. And so here you have the example of the before and after. The before was DIM, digital elevation model obtained with the drone and satellite images. And after that, I measured the volume between the before and the after, and there was around 150 or 200 million cubic meters. And this is an example of the one of the simulations I did. So in green and blue, that's the landslide, okay, and in blue wave, the waves, generated waves. So you can see that in 20 seconds, you already have the scale here is 40, but in reality, it reaches more than 80 meters right at the generation. And after, you still have a 40-meter wave after a minute of the event. So it's really quick, and it generates a big wave quickly. And after that, I did a simulation in all the domain, and that's an example. So we have 70 meters here, and after that, around 1 meter or 2 meters on the coast. Okay, and I said I used a 2D model, so that's what I presented here, and I used a 3D model, Navier-Stokes, called OpenFOAM. And here is just an example of what can be done with OpenFOAM. It's really expensive, time expensive, and you need a lot of processors to use OpenFOAM. So for example, this is the Greenland event and the Indonesia event. Okay. So for the Greenland, I used a mesh with 34 million cells because I need to mesh the water, the landslide, and the air too. Three-phase model. And for 34 million cells, I used 96 processors. And to simulate 180 seconds, it used 8 hours of CPU. And for Krakatau, you have data. And with OpenFOAM, I could only simulate the near field. It was impossible to model the entire category. Or maybe one day, but what I did was very preliminary. And when I tried, it was impossible. Okay, enough tsunamis. Sorry, Angel. And now I will talk about my postdoc in Greenland. So it was the objective of the postdoc was to create a method or a model, we didn't know, to simulate the long-term evolution of the morphodynamics of beach. So why did we try to do that? It was for the army, our friends, represented by the SHOM, and maybe you know the SHOM. And there was a lot of laboratories to develop more in this project. And the project was called MEPELS. It was a large project to simulate morphodynamics. Morphodynamics are short term. So, for example, storm stage. And for that, we use the Krakatau or XBeach. There are 2D models. And there was a part of the project that concentrated on the satellite detection of shoreline and sandbars too. And I was on the mid-long-term modeling. And what does it mean mid-long-term? It means from 2 months to 2 years. And the fact is that for short-term modeling, for example, Krakatau or XBeach are more or less good to simulate beaches as short-term model. But if you want to model and simulate a few years or just a few months, it becomes a bit tricky. So we have to invent a method for this large simulation. And there is a type of models that exists that called reduced complexity models, or one-line models, or equilibrium models. And what we try to do is combine 2D models and reduced complexity models, or deterministic models. And so what we did, what we wanted to do is started from obsolete bathymetry and displace. Sorry. After we wanted the bathymetry as the dates you want. And I will present you an example of what I did on the beach of Duck in the United States, in North Carolina. Duck. So it's a beach in North Carolina, in the east coast of the United States, and it's a sandy beach with vegetated dunes on the beach. It is exposed east, as you can see with the windows here. And it's a perfect beach for science because there is a lot of data on this beach. So first, you have the waves every hour. From 1990 to today. And you have the waves at 8 meter depth, 17 meters, and 20 meters. So that's the waves. And for the waves, you have the height, significant height, period, direction, the level of water too. And after the waves, you have bathymetry. And for the morphology, you have almost 1 bathymetry per month since 1990. So it represents around 200 bathymetries until today. It's a dream for research. This is an example of classification. I forgot to. Whatever. It's a classification of states of the beach. So, for each day on the time series that that you have here. So you have the waves, and for each couple, for each day, each couple of height and period, I calculated omega. That's called dimensionless fall velocity, or D number. And with this omega, I can classify the beach, or I can classify the beach in states, morphological states, and you can see here. So basically, you have two states, two extreme states, and intermediate states. Okay? The two extremes are reflective states in summer, when the slope is strong, and dissipative states in winter with a smooth slope. Okay? And between reflective and dissipative, you have a lot of intermediate states with bar, with 1 or 2 bar, inner bar, and outer bar. And this classification is from Martin the Short. And you can see that for Dutch, so all these points are all the day from 1990 to 2022. In blue, the points are in summer, and in orange are in winter. And what you can see here is that the beach is moving from dissipative, barred dissipative, to reflective. Okay? And you can see a little bit more blue points in this area, and a little bit more orange point in this area. So you have more reflective states in summer, it's logic, and more dissipative states in winter. Okay? Okay. And this is an example for 2019. So you can see for 1 year, it's just 1 year, I have 18 bathymetries for 1 year. And the first bathymetry was in February, and the last one in December. And black here, that's the average cross-shore profile of the bathymetry, okay, for each bathymetry. And you can clearly see that here you have a dissipative beach with a bar, and the bar will disappear in summer. And in summer you have a reflective state, and as the winter is coming, you have the dissipative state that appears. Okay, with the bar. Okay. This is interesting because the points and the stars and squares represent the states. So in blue, there is reflective states, in orange, intermediate states, and green, dissipative. And you can see that, in fact, all the year, along the year, you have all the states. Okay, every day you can have every state, but you have more reflective in summer and more dissipative in winter. It's important. ShoreFor. Okay, so this is an example of one model we used. One reduced complexity model. So it's called ShoreFor, and it is used to predict the evolution of one cross-shore point of the beach. Okay, and it is used for very long-term modeling. So you can use ShoreFor for a few days if you want, until decades or century. The main question is here. So X is a cross-shore point that you want to model. So it can be the shoreline if you want, or it can be a sandbar, or every point that you want actually. And it is based on the equilibrium of the beach, on this equilibrium of the beach. So I don't think I have time to explain all of this. If you have questions on ShoreFor, maybe later, okay? What is important? Yeah, you have 3 parameters to calibrate. So it uses the history of the beach to simulate the future. And the 3 parameters are B, C, and phi. B is the linear change. D is the erosion rate, and phi is the response or memory factor. Okay. And so I use this model, ShoreFor, to develop a first method, method A, to reconstruct a bathymetry. So what I did is that you have a bathymetric data, okay, and wave data. That's all the data. With this bathymetric data, I did a lot of statistics, and I obtained historical shoreline and bar positions. Okay. I put this in ShoreFor with the wave data, and it gives me shoreline and bar positions in for the date I want in the future. With that, I can reconstruct the profile I want, and I put it in XBeach with a few days before, and I obtain the final maximum. I will explain more with the example. So this is an example of simulation for ShoreFor. So here it is the shoreline. So forget this part. All the points here, the green points, are historic shorelines. So shoreline data measured points. Okay. And the green line is the calibration of the model. Okay. So from 2000 until 2003. And after, I did a prediction for 1 year, the year 2019. Okay, and it was pretty well. And so these simulations give me 1 position for the shoreline at the end of the year 2019. Okay, so I have the position of the shoreline. After, I did the same thing for the active sandbar. Okay, so there's the same thing. All the points are bars that I detected all the bathymetric data I have, and I did a simulation with ShoreFor, prediction with ShoreFor, and it gives me a position for the bar of the last bathymetry I want. 2019. So thanks to ShoreFor, I have the shoreline position and the sandbar position. Okay. And from that, with all the historical bathymetry I had, I did the mean cross-shore profile in space and time, and it gives me the orange curve here. But you have to imagine that the mean profile was a reflective profile, so it was just a curve like this. Okay, and on this curve, I added a bar, it gives me some bar here, and I put the bar where ShoreFor predicted the bar, and I put the shoreline where ShoreFor predicted the shoreline. Okay, so it gives me a reconstructed profile for the date I wanted, 6th of December. And in dashed black, you have the real bathymetry for 6th of December. So it works más o menos. Okay. Yeah, and after I use this reconstructed profile as an input of XBeach with 7 days of wave forcing after the bathymetry. The idea was to to force this profile to tend to the real profile. Don't know if it's really clear. Okay. And it doesn't work. So that was the first method, and I developed a second method, more focused on XBeach. So you have bathymetric data, web data, and the obsolete bathymetry then that you have. I use ShoreFor. That gives me shoreline and bar positions, and also the memory factor, one of the three parameters you have to calibrate. And with this memory factor, I can calculate the dynamic compared to equilibrium. That means dynamic is if I am in accretion or erosion, okay, or equilibrium. And with this dynamic, I make a simulation with XBeach from my initial bathymetry. And if I am in accretion, I will use parameters for accretion in XBeach. And if I am in erosion, I will use parameters of erosion in XBeach. And it gives me my final bathymetry. So this is an example of the dynamic. So this is the year 2019 for duck. And so my initial bathymetry is in February, and I want final bathymetry in December 6th. Okay. And so for each day, or each hour, each day, I calculate this dynamic. So there was in the winter, you have more erosion, and when you arrive in summer, you have more blue points and more accretion. It's logic. And the winter appears here, and you have more erosion. So the next step was to determine the parameter for XBeach. And I did sensitivity studies on two parameters, the waveform and the factor that impacts the asymmetry and the skewness of the waves. Well, this is an example of values for each dynamic accretion, erosion, or equilibrium. And I did the simulation, and it gives me this curve. So in green, you have the initial bathymetry that was in February. And in orange, you have the final bathymetry that was measured. Okay, so the real data. And in blue, that's the result of XBeach. So there is a lot of problem. In particular, we have problem on the dam here. Maybe there is a strong undertow, too strong, and we have problem with the bar. It's pretty normal with this beach. Okay, so to conclude, yeah, it is very promising, and all we did, it didn't exist. Okay, so we invent new methods, and the concepts are interesting. So there is a lot of work to do, but it is very, very promising. And one of the things that are very important is data. You need a lot of data. If you don't have historical data for your beach, it is nearly impossible to use ShoreFor, for example, because you need to use the history of the beach. So yeah, data is very important. Today, there is a lot of satellite detection that starts to work pretty well. You can use videos too, video detection for shoreline and for sandbars. It works well. Another issue is with XBeach. as I said, we have a problem probably with the undertow currents that are too strong. For example, all I presented here was for the beach of Duck, but I did the same thing with another beach in France that's called Truc Vert. And yeah, for Truc Vert, I used the same parameters for the beach because I didn't have enough historical data to calibrate this beach. And maybe we could use another model. So Croco is better for bar migration, for example. That is beach. So it could be interesting to use. And for the future, so this project Naples is now actually developed and written by RT Engineering Office in France. And it's beautiful that what they did is the QGIS tool, and you can, it's a, I don't know how to say in English, but you can select the beach that you want in the world, and it will do the computations on your area you selected. It will be beautiful. Normally, it should be open source. So for now, all my scripts are in the Git. Normally, all the Maple system will be open source. And I think that's it. Yep. If you want to know more, that's some articles I wrote and some other references. Morphodynamic. And that's it.
So the beach you were using, island beach, was quite straight, if I understand well, right?
In Longshore?
Oh God, I got a bit lost, I have to say, in the details, so try to help me out. So the beach that you were looking at in North Carolina, I guess it was.
This one?
Yeah. So in a sense, it's ideal also because it's a one-dimensional problem. Because you essentially just go out to the sea.
Yeah.
It's translationally invariant, but many beaches, I would say, are not like that at all. So have you studied what's the impact of the, let's say, the meandering of the beach on the dynamics that it has during the year? There may be some long-range correlations or
I don't know. So it is a simple beach, but it is great to start.
No, of course, I'm not criticizing the approach, I'm just curious.
After, here we only use ShoreFor and XBeach. But you can actually use shoreliness, for example. This is another model that takes into account a lot more of dynamics, longshore dynamics. You can take into account if you have structures on your beach, like harbor or something like that. So with more complex model, you could take into account all that you want.
And the more complex models, if they are applied to this, do they give you the same type of results as the easier models that you have used?
I don't know. We didn't do those.
I get a question about the regards question is do you actually just forget about the sediment transport stuff and just trying to diagnose or actually to model the next steps in the beach just on the basis of the data that you have on the whales, for example? Because I understand that you have so many data in this case that you actually, maybe you could just find a transfer function between the waves and the variations that you don't even have to run the sediment model.
Yeah, maybe you could. But it would only work on this beach, on Duck, because this is the only beach where you have data. Sure. So we wanted to develop something that could work more or less on any beaches. So of course we started with Duck because it's more easy because there is a lot of data. But the idea was to be able to use on any beach.
My second question is to which point is reliant this on an average sediment distribution? I mean, if the sediment distribution is complex, what's the effect on that?
It's a look at that.
Because you are assuming that your D50 or whatever is your distribution is goes around.
So here the D50 is uniform on the beach. There was a question again. No, I think it's more basic than that. You asked a question. I think basically detection. I don't know. It's a detection of the foam, because when you have a bar, sandbar, the waves will break on this bar, on the location of the bar. So if you are breaking, it means that you have a bar under the wave that is breaking. So if you detect the foam, when it started to generate foam, you detect the bar. Yep.
A couple of questions. One for the first part of the seminar. We use OpenFOAM for the tsunami. But the tsunami propagation, as you know, is a shallow problem in a very long way. So we are using heavy weapons. I mean, we're using the OpenFOAM 30-hour simulations, and you can do it with shallow water equations. It's not optional. What do you think of using this model for the program?
Okay, actually, I use OpenFOAM for the generation part. So the part with the landslide.
With landslide moving, moving more nice.
It was to see and to model all the effects of the landslide entering into the water. Because of course, after for the propagation, if you have 100 kilometers of propagation, no, don't use OpenFOAM. Use 2D models, it's perfect. But for the generation, it is a bit better to use.
And for this problem, the evolution of the profile, the sandbar profile, you can model both onshore and offshore sandbar transport. Both.
I didn't.
Can you model both movements, the onshore and the offshore movement?
Well, with XBeach is more difficult to model. I don't remember. There is a way that is more difficult to model. So I think it's it's easier to model erosion. So no, better to accretion in XBeach. Okay, Okay, because we have problem with the berm slope, and it's because there is a lot of erosion in the berm, so it means the bar is migrated offshore. But it is a problem, and with Croco it is a lot better, but it is much more time consuming than XBeach. Yes.
The line that you're talking about, are the fractals in nature?
Sorry?
Are the fractals?
The fact?
Fractal.
Fractal?
Fractal means does the shape depends upon the length scale that you are looking at.
I don't know. No, I don't.
Because your shape can change like at the smaller and the smaller scale compared to long and scale, right?
Okay.
Any question on so you measured the volume for the volcano before and after the landslide, right?
Yep.
So in your model you put as the initial condition for the landslide. But my question is, what is your initial condition? You cannot model what the land that went in the water. Is it the point source? Is it the actual land that falls in? How do you do that?
Okay, so what I had was the initial bathymetry, or the initial topobathymetry, initial shape of the volcano. And after that, all I had was satellite image. And so I had to imagine something for the bathymetric part.
So do you have a live like video of the landslide?
No.
You just have
No.
before and after, right?
Yeah.
So what is your assumption for the landslide?
The assumption was to so I have the before. I think I have also I had the topography of the volcano after. I think. Yeah, I have the after too, but I have not the bathymetry, and I assumed that the slope was smooth, and so I tried with this shape, and actually I didn't show it here, but I compared my results with a lot of data in all the traits with my graphic data, and the results were in agreement with the observable data. So can say that that the shape is pretty good. It is impossible to say because actually the event was in the night of the 22 to the 23 of December, but the next morning on 24 or 25 there was another eruption, and so the bathymetry change, and it was impossible to. We never know.
So what is the time scale of a landslide usually? Is it like this? Is it typical landslide like one day, or can it be during the week, or is it like just a few hours?
A landslide?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a few seconds.
Okay.
A landslide. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can leave it here. We can continue the discussion with some viewers. So thank you very much, Alex.